What is going on, gunfighters? Shotguns as truck guns. Save the best for fifth. This is the fifth episode installment of Truck Guns here on Gunfighter Life. If you've stumbled across this is the first episode you've listened to, welcome. But hopefully you're liked and subscribed, following whatever vernacular they use on whatever platform you listen to. Hopefully you're following the show. Since this is part 5, I'm going to forego the lengthy bio and just say first and foremost, I am a Christian, made in the image of God. Hopefully I look at everything through a Christian and biblical lens and worldview. This podcast will be no different. And again, if you've just clicked on this, and we've done a whole series on truck guns. I did an episode in Days of Yore on truck guns, and it seems to be very popular still, and I got a request to do more, and I thought the best way to do it would be to break it down in segments. So part 1 was handguns, and then also did PCCs, PDWs, fighting carbines, intermediate carbines. Today, part 5 is going to be shotguns for truck guns. Why? Why with all those other options would you pick a shotgun? Well, I think for a lot of people, for a lot of situations, it's the best choice. And we'll get into why. Now, again, hopefully you're liking and subscribing to the show. But if you're fairly new, you can go back and look at, just type in shotgun, a Gunfighter Life shotgun on whatever podcast platform. And it should pull up several episodes on the shotgun, whichever one tickles your fancy, as the baby boomers might say, and listen to that. But to give a brief recap, in my opinion, the shotgun is the most versatile small arm, period. End of sentence. It is the most versatile small arm, period. Nothing else does what the shotgun can do. Nothing else is as flexible as the shotgun is. Nothing else can go from plucking a dove or a fat little quail out of the air, God-given protein bars, and being able to eat them, to stopping a charging grizzly bear. No other single weapon can perform like that, and all manner of things in between, from deer to personal protection and defense to barrier penetration to even other roles like breaching and less lethal, signaling. Nothing is as flexible as the shotgun. So I guess my question is, why would you not want a weapon that versatile, that powerful, that devastating, that scalable up or down as a truck gun? So to be fair, be honest and circumspect, what are some shortcomings of the shotgun? Well, a big one people would say is range. Now, if you talking smoothbore shotgun, rifled barreled shotguns are kind of a specialty thing. But if you look at a smoothbore shotgun, if you don't just buy whatever slugs are available at Walmart and you actually do your due diligence like you would with a rifle and find a good load that groups well, that shoots point of aim, point of impact, if you have decent sights, not just a smooth barrel, but like a decent sighting system on your shotgun, I'd say you should easily be able to achieve 150 yards, practical accuracy on a shotgun. They do have a limited range. I mean, 150 yards is about half of practical effective range for an M4 carbine, run-of-the-mill M4 AR-15 16-inch variant. And I've posed this question to you guys before. Show me any defensive, civilian, justified use of force encounter where somebody projected force and it was legal and lethal out past 150 yards. I don't know of any, and if I'm not going to put the bio in this episode, but I've spent a lifetime as a professional gunfighter, military, law enforcement, private contractor. Hear CONUS talking about defensive and breaking contact kind of situations. In general, 150 yards is way more than is normal. But they do have a limited range. That is a real thing. Also, people will say capacity. And yeah, if you look at it round per round, if you're talking round per round, like cartridge per cartridge, primer indentation to primer indentation, then yeah, the shotgun has less capacity for sure. You know, your standard run-of-the-mill AR-15 or AK-47 variant is going to have 30 rounds on tap. The shotgun is going to have 5 for a standard hunting shotgun, maybe 7, maybe 9 if you're talking about a tactical shotgun, if you're looking at it that way. But I'm going to maybe suggest you might want to look at it a different way. And if you decide doesn't really matter, that's fine, but I want to present it a different way. Your AR-15 223 is 22 caliber. Now, it's not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges because you're talking about a Spitzer bullet. You're talking about higher velocity, but you're talking 22 caliber, 30 projectiles. If you look at my favorite go-to hunting and defensive load for the shotgun, 41 pellet number 4 buck. Number 4 buck, I believe, if memory serves correct, is 24 caliber. Now, each one of those shells is going to have more capacity than the entire magazine of an AR-15. But if we do 41 times, and I looked up what the Mossberg 590 holds, and that is 7 plus 1, which would be 8 of the 3-inch magnums. So we do 41 times 8 equals 328 rounds. If you're talking about actual projectiles downrange, 24 caliber, and you're talking about a spherical lead, either nickel-plated or copper-coated or just straight lead sphere. So it's not the same as a Spitzer bullet, but to maybe put it in a different light, you're talking 328 actual individual projectiles in that loadout. If you're talking about that loaded up with number 4 buck. If you talk about kind of a lot of people's favorite military police defensive load, 9 pellets of double aught buck, which is going to be a 2 3/4 inch load, a standard load, 12 gauge. You're talking 9 rounds of that times 9 pellets. You're talking over 200 projectiles, and that's 33 caliber. So if you compare that to the AK, which is, we think 30 caliber, but it's actually .312, so 31 caliber versus 33 caliber. And again, not apples to apples, but you're talking 210 actual individual projectiles. So if you look at it from that perspective, maybe not as low capacity as you might think. Also, what are you expecting to encounter? Yeah, if you are expecting to go full Red Dawn, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be prepared for that, but is that what's most likely going to happen with you and your truck gun? I don't know. I'm not telling you to not be prepared for Red Dawn, but shy of running around and peeing in radiators and fighting parachuting Cubans or North Koreans, depending on which version you like the best. Right, shy of that, a shotgun with a full loadout of, let's say, double aught buck if you want to go the vanilla route, or you want number 4 buck, or even number 1 buck if you want to kind of go and split the difference, or you want a combination of buckshot and slugs, which I would suggest for a truck gun. That's good out to 150 yards. That round per round is absolutely devastating, more so than any small arm that's common, period, unless you talk about like a 50 BMG or something. But yeah, if you're talking about just round per round, then it's got fairly low capacity. If you talk about, again, 5 to 9 actual primer indentations per loadout versus 30 or 15, depending on what other platform you're running. And if you look at it in that light, then yeah, it's got less capacity, and that's a real thing. And also the range, but has there ever been a defensive justified use of force by a civilian in a defensive role out past 150 yards? I don't know of any. If you do, let me know. But to be fair, there are some limitations. Again, range and capacity. Also, let's be real. A lot of people are into guns because guns are fun to shoot, and I have a lot of fun shooting guns. You know what I don't have a lot of fun doing? Going out to the range and shooting a bunch of full-power buckshot or slugs. I like to shoot. I shoot a lot, as you might imagine. But what I don't actually enjoy is going and putting, let's say, 20 rounds of deep penetrator slugs through my Mossberg 590 in a day. That's not my idea of a good time. I'm not a sadist. I'm not a masochist. I'll endure pain if it is beneficial. Going to the gym, going on a ruck, going for a run, lifting heavy weights. Pain just for the sake of pain is not super enjoyable. Again, I don't consider it enjoyable to shoot 20 rounds of slugs in a row. Because I'll go to the range and, I'd have a lot of fun going through a brick of 22 ammo. Or even, a couple of hundred rounds of 9mm or 223. But 20 rounds of slugs and I'm not having a great time. So they are less fun to train with and less fun to shoot. Case in point, I think the shotgun is the most versatile weapon. If I've said it before, if I could only have one gun for when things hit the fan, peanut butter and chocolate has hit the fan, and I got to pick one long gun, no other caveats, no other yeah but this, yeah but that, I'd pick the shotgun. However, it's probably the gun I train with the least as far as live fire goes. One, because from my experience, if you're a really good handgun shooter, you're probably a good rifle or shotgun shooter, but you can be a really good rifle shooter or shotgun shooter and be really horrible at the handgun. And the handgun is what I have on me most of the time, which is why I switched way back in the day to I switched from more precision rifle stuff to handgun, because handgun is the hardest gun to master and it's the gun that I have on me most of the time. That said, of all the things I train with, I probably train with the shotgun less because it's less fun to shoot. So that is a disadvantage. Also, reloading when the gun is empty. Now, there are ways to quickly reload, and that is something I do train on and encourage you to train on, like rounds from the side saddle into the action. You can feed a shotgun pretty fast that way. It's not as fast as, let's say, a speed reload on a handgun, where you're out and you do a quick reload in a standard capacity magazine. You got a fresh 15 or 17 or 21 round magazine. So that's a disadvantage. And is that likely? No, it's not, but it's possible. But again, you're not talking apples to apples, because round per round, that shotgun is way more devastating. There's very little comparison to a round of 9mm to a full payload of double aught or number 4 buck out of a 12 gauge or even a 20 gauge. So just think about it honestly and circumspectly. Also, I guess I should have mentioned it because I'm looking out at a pretty nasty environment here it's beautiful, but like rainy, wet, Juneau, Alaska. The shotgun is made for some of the nastiest environments on the planet. You talk about nasty environments, talk about waterfowl hunting, duck hunting, goose hunting. You're talking about snow blowing sideways, freezing rain, sleet, salt water, guns getting submerged, guns getting used as canoe paddles, just mud, just salt water, marsh mud, and swamp mud, and just nasty environments. The shotguns work in those environments, and they will work a lot of times for generations in those environments. You talk about a shotgun for nasty environments. If it can handle that, it can probably handle a little bit of neglect in your trunk or in the back of your truck. Also, if you're talking about a tool for peanut butter and chocolate hitting the fan, that you can go in a lot of nasty environments without a lot of maintenance, the shotgun really shines there. So just its ability to thrive in rugged, nasty environments is almost unparalleled, especially if you talk about a good inertia-driven semi-auto or especially a pump shotgun. Talk about the AK as being crazy, rugged, and reliable, and they are, especially for a auto-loading battlefield rifle. But say for just pure austere environments, the pump action shotgun, a good one, is really hard to beat. So you have that advantage. Also, and I've kind of changed my mind on this because I guess we're all influenced by our training and experience. I grew up as a poor boy in the South, putting meat on the table literally. And when it comes to putting meat on the table, as in hunting, nothing rivals the shotgun. There are better deer rifles, there are better elk rifles, but it's not just about that. It's about the totality of things to hunt. Nothing is like the shotgun in that you can pluck a dove out of the air or a quail and also stop a charging grizzly bear and anything in between. The shotgun is that scalable. And with my background, you might imagine that I've been in some pretty nasty situations that God's gotten me through in tactical environments. And those are scary, crazy situations. But even with all that experience that I've been blessed to live through, it pales in comparison to the number of times in my life I've had to eat. Unless you're fasting for Yom Kippur or some religious reason or health reason, you probably eat every day. You probably eat several times a day. When it comes to putting food on the table, nothing rivals a shotgun. So if that truck gun turns into a long-term survival gun, again, I don't think anything rivals a shotgun if you're going to hunt. But again, I've changed my mind on this recently because I got to realize that I'm kind of an odd duck, and I'm okay with that. I'm a peculiar person, and I'm okay with that. I hunt. I like to hunt for food. But a big chunk of the population lives in what I will call people hives. They live in large urban areas. They live in suburbs. They live in cul-de-sacs. They live in, again, what I will call people hives. To them, it's not food, a lot of them, unless it comes wrapped in cellophane. Meat comes wrapped in cellophane from Safeway or Kroger or wherever. A lot of people have never hunted. They don't know how to hunt. They're not going to learn to hunt. The time to learn to hunt is probably not the apocalypse when you're starving to death. Hunting can be very challenging even when you have hunted your whole life, as I'm getting humbled here in Alaska hunting. Right, so maybe that's not even on the table for a lot of people. The fact that it is a great hunting gun maybe it's not even applicable to a large chunk of people that have grown up most of their lives in a suburb or a large urban area. And I've spent big chunks of my life in large urban areas. I was LAPD. I was a commander of a tactical team in a big metro area to stop active shooters. I get living in cities. My idea would be to get out of the city and hunt. But again, I know how to hunt. By God's grace, I've hunted all over this beautiful country. I've taken all manner of beasts. I've been a professional big game hunter and guide. I have a Rhodesian Ridgeback, Alexander Hamilton, great hunting breed. If you don't hear him now, he is successfully hunting and killing a squeaky toy. But I'm about hunting, but not everybody is. Again, that's not applicable to everybody. So even if you take that off the table, even if you take the ability to, as a shotgun, to put food on the table, which I think is unrivaled, even with that, there's a lot of flexibility with the shotgun and why you might choose it as a truck gun. Talk about a break contact gun to put a lot of projection of force downrange quickly. Again, if you don't look at it just round count, but you look at the devastation of each individual round, like a full payload of double-aught buck or number 4 buck, you talk about stopping a vehicle or stopping somebody in a vehicle. There are few things that are as good at that as a deep penetrator slug. I like true ball, deep penetrator slugs for several reasons, but even just a regular Foster slug is a good penetrating round, or something like a Bernanke slug, which is kind of legendary for its penetration. You talk about stopping, going into an engine block, or going through intermediate barriers, which in an urban environment is a big thing. Right, a good construction of a shotgun slug is pretty hard to beat. Also, urban environments are full of a lot of locked doors. Now, to be honest, as somebody that's been a professional door kicker, most doors are just there for show. You can kick open most doors if you're a healthy adult male. But even the ones that you can't, if you have a shotgun and you know how to use breaching rounds, because I wouldn't advise it if you don't, because you could really hurt yourself, lose some fingers or eyeball or something. But if you know what you're doing with a breaching round, you kind of have a master key. If you're trying to get out of an area that's on fire or who knows what situation and a dystopian urban future might hold, if you're trying to get out of an area, get through a gate, whatever the case might be, right? You kind of have a master key. Also, less lethal. Taking a human life is a weighty matter. And even if it's legal, you should never take a human life unless it's morally justifiable. And you know what's morally justifiable by reading your Bible, men. You got to have a firm foundation. I hope you're not a psychopath. I'm certainly not a psychopath. I've been in some nasty situations, and I can say, unless you absolutely have to take a human life, you should not, unless it's the best thing to do in that situation. It's the most loving thing to do in that situation, as in stopping other people's from losing their lives, like an active shooter or something like that. But you should know when deadly force is moral and authorized and when it's not. And again, you get that by reading the Bible. The shotgun, unlike many other weapons, gives you the ability to project force that's not lethal force. So I can still project force, but it might not be lethal. And it's not just one option, you get many. You can get rubber buckshot, and if you know what you're doing and with angles and if you've trained with it, you can, skip those rounds off the ground and take out people from the knee down with less lethal buckshot. If you're talking about rioting, looting, property crimes, just deterring a whole group of people from coming your way. Your rubber buckshot, you also have rubber baton rounds, you have beanbag rounds, which can be quite nasty. So that ability for less lethal, that's a big deal. So even if you take the hunting off the table, which is a big chunk of why the shotgun is such a utilitarian tool in my opinion, it's still very utilitarian. Let's talk about a couple of really good choices. Now, I think equally semi-autos and pump shotguns, and that's really what's on the table. I don't advise you to go through the apocalypse or have your truck gun be a double-barrel shotgun unless that's all you have. But for repeatable firepower today, really the pump and the semi-auto, and I like them both. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. But in my opinion, a good, reliable semi-auto is expensive. I do not trust my life, and I would not recommend a cheap semi-auto shotgun. But there are many cheap, very affordable pump shotguns that have a reasonable rate of fire, that even have advantages over a very expensive semi-auto, that are very affordable. The number one recommendation for pump shotguns is going to be the Mossberg Maverick kind of genre. Whether you're talking about, it's the Mossberg 500 family, whether you're talking about the standard Mossberg 500 or the cheaper Maverick 88 or the more tactical Mossberg 590 or the 835, right? Any of those are just beasts in rugged reliability and affordability and the amount of firepower you get for the money. And there are many other really good pump shotguns. If I'm talking semi-autos, I'd say stick with Benelli for a lot of reasons. There are some really good other guns that are reliable, but they're mostly gas guns, and I prefer an inertial system. I've talked about that in other episodes at nausea. But good pump shotguns, there are other ones. If you can find an older, sadly, I can't recommend anything new, and even probably anything from the mid-90s or late 90s up from Remington. But if you can find a really old Police Magnum or really old Wingmaster 870, those are great guns. There are other good pump shotguns. I would say really look hard at the Mossberg. There's not a lot that rivals those for the money. One of the few ones that would be the Benelli Nova, Supernova. They're their pump action version, and quite a bit less expensive than their semi-autos. I'm not going to list every semi-auto. Those would be my main choices if I were picking one today. My actual go-tos, and I have two, is a Benelli M2, and I've run the gambit of Benelli from the M1 to the M2 to the M4. For the best balance all-around shotgun, I like the Benelli M2. I've got a whole episode. I got an episode coming out on Mossberg pump shotguns and an episode coming out on Benelli semi-autos. I don't know if they'll come out before or after this, but again, make sure you're liked and subscribed and following. That way you can hear about them when they come out, or go back and search. Just type in whatever Gunfighter Life / or Gunfighter Life and then whatever shotgun or Benelli, and you can kind of find those episodes. But my two go-tos are the Benelli M2 and the Mossberg 590S. I denote the S because it allows you to shoot short shells. I like the short shells. I like the ability to run short shells and not just put an adapter in and run short shells, but the ability to load a 3-inch Magnum, a 2 3/4, a short shell, or vice versa, and they'll all run equally well. And the Mossberg 590S is the only shotgun I'm aware of that'll let you do that. No, I am not a fan of bullpup shotguns for a lot of reasons. Now, there's many good shotguns, but any of those good choices. Maybe talk about the truck gun kind of loadout for this. Your good shotgun, and again, I'm mostly talking 12 gauge, but 20 gauge is also a good option, especially, well, there's advantages to the 20 gauge. The ammunition is, in general, lighter and takes up less space. You could carry more of it. And let's say a good Bernanke 20 gauge shotgun slug is still devastating. A good proper buckshot round in 20 gauge, although it's less of a payload than 12 gauge is still a devastating round. So 20 gauge is good too. You have the advantage of the ammo generally and the shotgun being lighter. Also, if you might have another smaller statured shooter or something like that, there's some advantage to the 20 gauge. But I would encourage you, if it's your truck gun, have the shotgun. I would have a combination of buckshot and slugs. And I said for hunting, and I like number 4 buck for hunting and for personal protection, home defense. I don't like it generally loaded as my go-to round in my truck gun. For that, I do like the kind of standard double-aught buck because it's got more mass to each individual pellet, which means it will generally penetrate soft, not literally soft, but light barriers like sheet metal. So if I'm using a truck gun, there's a good chance I might have to shoot out of my vehicle and or into somebody else's vehicle. So I think the double-aught buck's a good choice for that, and it's pretty common. So for the truck gun, for a shotgun with a combination of buckshot and slugs, and I don't mean a buckshot and a slug and a buckshot and a slug loaded in a tube, but how I roll with mine is buckshot in the tube and then slugs in the side saddle. And if you know how to do an ammo exchange drill, you can switch it out pretty quick. But again, that's one of the great things about the shotgun is its flexibility just by switching ammo. So get whatever ammo makes sense for you. Of course, in my truck, I'm going to have quite a bit of hunting ammo as well, because if I have to leave the truck and things get really bad, I want to be able to put meat on the table. And you probably should look up a whole other shotgun episode for that, one of the other shotgun episodes. But you decide what kind of ammo loadout you want for your truck gun if it's a shotgun. Do you want breaching rounds? Do you want signaling rounds? I would say at minimum, buckshot and slugs. You may decide you want other rounds in there. Also, I guess I should mention, I like rifle type sights on a truck gun shotgun. Either a ghost ring sight, or what I prefer even better is kind of rifle sights, meaning like an AK-47 style sight, or one of your classic, like what you would see on an old school bolt action hunting rifle sights. I like those on a shotgun. I think they're a better all-around sighting system, unless you're talking about wing shooting, which a wing shotgun is a kind of a specialty shotgun in my opinion. For an all-around shotgun, I like those rifle-type sights, but kind of what's in vogue today is the peep sight. They're okay, but something better than just a smooth barrel with a bead, in my opinion. Just what they would call like a defense shotgun with just a smooth barrel and a bead, I would consider subpar. I generally, because I have a lot of experience reloading and doing, quick reloads, I like a side saddle on the side of the shotgun with ammo. Some people like also having ammo on the side of the receiver. I like that less, and I generally don't do that, but I do like to run several rounds on the buttstock. Again, if it's a truck gun, I will generally have it loaded with double-aught buck, and I will have slugs in the side saddle. I can do a quick change drill. And I'm not telling you that's what you should be for your exact loadout or what you should do, but at least you have the option. I like some kind of way on the shotgun to hold extra rounds, and some kind of grab-and-go ammo supply, like a bailout kit. And I plan on doing a whole separate episode on bailout bags, but like kind of a bailout kit where I can grab the shotgun and I can grab the ammo, in my case, kind of a haversack full of shotgun ammo, throw it over my shoulder. The kit that I have actually has a thing on the outside for kind of go-to loads, and then a bigger compartment for the rest of the loads, just to grab, so I have quite a bit of ammo that I can just literally grab. But whatever system you want to run for your truck gun, if you decide to have it as your shotgun. I should mention another cool thing about most semi-auto and pump shotguns. Most of them, you may not think of them this way, but they're takedown guns. You have a big kind of nut on the front of the magazine tube, whether it's a pump or a semi-auto, that you can generally unscrew and take the barrel off, and it's a takedown gun. It'll fit in a lot of backpacks. A lot of times I'll run mine in my bug-out bag. It's my secondary go-to. Like if my truck gun, if I have like a PDW / a carbine, and that's my main one because I'm doing something else, but I still want the shotgun, then I'll put that inside the bag. I'm not going to need to get to it quickly. It's my like tertiary gun. If I need an incognito kind of bag gun, it's there. So don't forget that most pump and semi-auto shotguns are also takedown guns. So a good, reliable, in my opinion, inertia semi-auto, or a good pump shotgun with buckshot and slugs and whatever else accoutrement you might want on it. Oh, and a white light. I forgot to mention that. I guess I usually think it goes without saying, but a white light and a sling on your defensive shotgun of any kind, whether it's a home defense gun or in this case a truck gun. For the truck gun, the same combination, a white light and a good sling. Anyway, that's been this episode of Truck Guns. This is installment number 5. Is a shotgun best for you for your truck gun? I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know your situation. Why we've covered this as a series. Shotgun has a lot of really cool attributes that are very unique, and it has a lot of drawbacks that are very unique. So there is no real perfect gun. There are better guns for different situations. I'm not here to think for you. I'm not getting sponsored by some big ammo or gun company. I refuse sponsors on this show. If you hear a commercial, it's because, if you know how podcasting works, I have a host. I upload these to the host, which in my case is Spreaker, and they put a bunch of ads in there. I have no say in what ads go in there, except for I borrow like illegal stuff like drug advertisements and stuff, or adult content. But other than that, I have no say in what kind of advertisement goes in the show, and it depends on where you listen, right? If you are in Alaska, you get ads based on Alaska stuff a lot of times. If you're in the Southwest, you probably get ads even in Spanish. It has nothing to do with this, but I have no gun or ammo sponsors. I'm not telling you to get this shotgun and this new crazy game-changing round because it's the best for when the Cuban paratroopers start coming out of the sky. I try to help you think critically about what may be the best choice for you. And in this case, what's the best choice for you for a truck gun? I don't know. I don't know your situation, but I can give you hopefully some guidance and some pros and cons. Anyway, my most common gun is a shotgun. Also, I should say, 50 state legal, unlike a lot of other guns that we've talked about. And that's a big advantage. If you don't know, my wife and I live as neo-nomads. We travel. We're blessed to have many guns, but a shotgun, I'm not aware of any state, even California, where you can't have a good defensive shotgun. No legislation banning this shotgun or that shotgun. I think Canada actually may, but as far as the United States, again, put that as another advantage. But what's the best tool for you? For your truck, for your car, for your trunk? I don't know, right? Do you live in the wilds of Montana? Do you live in a cul-de-sac in Seattle? It's a big difference, right? I don't know. Do you love to hunt? Could you field dress a dove without even needing a knife? You have no idea how to hunt. If you shot a deer and it was laying in front of you, you'd have no idea what to do with it. I don't know you. I don't know. Again, not everybody's like me. A lot of people spend their entire lives in urban, suburban environments. I don't know you, but I do know, by God's grace, quite a bit about different kinds of guns and shotguns. And hopefully it's been a sobering look at not just a shotgun, but a vast array of different truck gun options. This may be the last installment of Truck Guns. I may do a wild card episode. Things that aren't their entirely individual category, but that you might choose. Well, what about a bolt action? What about a scout rifle? Or what about a bullpup this or that? I do a wild cards episode. So again, make sure you're liked and subscribed for that. But as far as main classes of guns, like fighting handguns, or PDWs, or fighting carbines, or the shotgun, probably it for that for now. Oh, in the wildcard episode, I'll probably also discuss like a 22 rimfire. Anyway, with that, if I do the wildcard episode, I'm not committing to that. But either way, make sure you're like, subscribed, following the show. Oh, and I should mention, if you want to support the show, should not be a bad capitalist. If you want to support the show, again, because I have no corporate sponsors, want any bias here, you shall take no bribe. For a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous, the Bible says. If you want to support the show, it's supported by listeners. And also, People that step up to become a patron, they get a lot of cool special insider content. In fact, they got these Truck Gun episodes way before I put them out. And they get them commercial free. They get to talk to me if they want to all the time. So if you want to become a patron, consider becoming a patron. Be very humbled. And either way, thank you for giving me some of your time. I am blessed to serve you today. I guess with that, let's roll into the tactical tip and the tactical verse of the day. One thing for the tactical tip. A lot of people think about lubrication on firearms and think of it as a wet oil or a grease. There is dry lube. This especially a pump action shotgun in a vehicle, in a truck, especially in a dusty environment like the Southwest or even the Great Plains or somewhere like that where there's a lot of dust. Dry lube may make a lot of sense for this, and I have used dry lube very successfully in the past on pump action shotguns. I'm not here to recommend any one brand or kind, but there's a lot of different kinds of dry lubrication. The benefit of dry lubrication is that it does not attract the dust. The dust won't stick to it and make kind of oil mud, for lack of a better term. And if you've been in a really dusty environment with something coated in like CLP, like Iraq, you'll know what I'm talking about. Dry lube is a thing. If you're talking about a shotgun for a vehicle in a dusty environment, you may really look at dry lube, coating the bolt and the action bars and things like that with dry lube. Will a good pump shotgun run fine completely dry? It will. If you want to save some wear and tear on the gun, some metal on metal contact, the dry lube might be a good call. So at least look into it if that's an application that you're going to run your truck gun in a dusty environment. Tactical verse of the day from 2 Samuel 22, and it's not one of the verses I often quote from 2 Samuel 22. In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried out to my God. He heard my voice from his temple, and my cry entered his ears. Whatever you're going through, whether it's praise or whether it's a time of trial and tribulation, I don't know. But I know it's always the right answer to go to God. It is never the wrong answer to go to God. In the midst of your depravity and sin, in your greatest joy and triumph, it is always the right answer to turn to God. God is always there. He always loves you. It's always the right answer to go to God. With that, thanks for listening and have a blessed day.